All right, so moving on to the final segment. The time has come. I'll be giving you guys my NFL mock draft for the NFL 2024 draft. Now, how I will do this, it will be for those watching on YouTube. It will be part 1 through 16. That will be in this will be part 1 of the mock draft. For you guys watching, or for you guys listening on Apple Podcasts, you're gonna hear the whole thing through. So there'll be two separate segments for the NFL mock draft. So this is part 1, the selections 1 through 16. So with the first overall pick, the Chicago Bears on the clock, and I had them selecting Caleb Williams, quarterback from USC. This is a layup pick after the team traded away Justin Fields. When Justin Fields, they thought was going to be their franchise quarterback, it didn't work out, and he's now going to Pittsburgh Steelers. There's now an opening for a new quarterback to be in town, and his name is going to be Caleb Williams. And it's set, and I do believe that they already set the Bears have already set the table for Caleb Williams coming into town to Chicago to set the table for him offensively for his rookie season. They traded for Keenan Allen at the wide receiver position. They signed DeAndre Swift in the backfield. They still got DJ Moore. I do believe they're going to build on their offense, the offensive line during the draft. So Caleb Williams could be sitting pretty in a good situation for his rookie season. I do believe he's going to be the lock-in for the first overall pick. Then the second overall pick, the Washington Commanders on the clock, and I have them selecting Jayden Daniels, quarterback from LSU. Now, Jayden Daniels, I've said on this podcast over the last few weeks that I do believe that he has the brightest future. And I do believe that he is going to be the best quarterback of this draft class when it's all said and done. But this draft pick could be everything that you want to see for the Commanders moving forward, and it gets them excited about their future. The Heisman Trophy winner last season can make plays with his arm, make plays with his legs. When the pocket collapses, he's that game changer that you need in a ball game. Jayden Daniels is going to be everything that the Commanders are wanting. And as you guys see, I am a Dallas Cowboys fan. I'm not going to be happy with the selection, but I will say if the Commanders build around Jayden Daniels, build around him, and build a winning culture, they could, and this draft pick could solidify them to be a threat in the NFC East to the other contending teams like the Eagles and the Cowboys moving forward for the sake of the future. So I like the pick for the Commanders here. Now, third overall pick. The New England Patriots on the clock, and I have them selecting Drake May, quarterback from North Carolina. Now, I've heard the rumors, I've seen the speculation, I've seen the reports. I don't believe that the Patriots are going to trade away the third overall pick. And I don't believe it's necessary for them to trade down when the Patriots are looking for that franchise quarterback after they traded away Mac Jones, who they thought was going to be the franchise quarterback for sake of the future. But at number 3 with Caleb Williams and Jayden Daniels most likely being off the clock, it makes the most sense for them to go ahead and get Drake May. I do believe that Drake May has a lot of potential in the NFL to be a very good quarterback for the sake of the future. He has good pocket awareness. He can make plays with his arm, make plays with his leg. He has a really strong arm that we've seen displayed at North Carolina. And the throws that he makes in the pocket, I'm not saying he will be him, but the throws that he makes in the pocket, he reminds me a lot of Aaron Rodgers. I see a lot of Aaron Rodgers in him. I see a lot of Aaron Rodgers potential. What I mean by Aaron Rodgers potential, I mean moving around the pocket, making those spectacular throws in the pocket. As Drake May's game develops in the NFL, I could see him playing a similar style of Aaron Rodgers. But I do believe this is going to be the best pick for the Patriots. I have him being selected number 3 overall by the Patriots. Now, number 4, this is where we get a shakeup also. I have the Cardinals trading out of this pick, and I have the Minnesota Vikings taking their pick, moving up, and I have the Minnesota Vikings selecting J.J. McCarthy, quarterback from Michigan. Now, I can see the Cardinals being very comfortable to trade back with the Vikings that has been very desperate all week long, trying to get the 3 or the 4 spot, or hell, even moving all the way up to the top 10, with their eyes set on getting their new franchise quarterback after Kirk Cousins moved on from the franchise and signed with the Atlanta Falcons this NFL offseason. Plus, they're going to need a quarterback to keep their star wide receiver Justin Jefferson happy, who is looking for a new contract in Minnesota. So I do believe that J.J. McCarthy could fit well in Kevin O'Connell's offense. And he could fit well with a lot of key pieces in the offense, being Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hockenson at tight end, Aaron Jones, who they just signed at running back. I do believe if his career plays out and he is successful, I could see them going in all in for J.J. McCarthy for this selection. Now, number 5, the Chargers are on the clock, and I have Marvin Harrison Jr., wide receiver from Ohio State, being selected as the 5th overall selection. Now, they need this pick, and the Chargers should not trade out of this pick because you have a layup selection, and Justin Herbert will finally get some love this NFL offseason and finally get a number 1 wide receiver once again, because he's seen Keenan Allen get traded for a mid-round pick to the Bears. He's seen the franchise cut Mike Williams this offseason, so it makes sense for a new connection to grow. A established quarterback of Justin Herbert playing alongside Marvin Harrison Jr., who could be a stud at the wide receiver position. There's so many comparisons I could think of in terms of his route running. He reminds me a lot of Devontae Adams. He reminds me a lot of CeeDee Lamb in terms of route running. The man's going to be special, and it would be a special connection to watch in the league with Herbert and Harrison Jr. playing alongside together. Number 5, I do believe, is going there. Now, number 6, the New York Giants are on the clock, and I had them selecting Malik Nabers, wide receiver from LSU. Now, my co-host Rob Sarasulo would be very happy with this selection of Malik Nabers going to the New York Giants. I think at number 6, if they don't trade up, this pick makes the most sense for them because there's options at the quarterback position, but their selection would make sense to get Malik Nabers because they could go back. Depending on how the draft goes out, they could go back and select a quarterback in the 2nd or 3rd round to potentially replace Daniel Jones. But with Malik Nabers being at 6, he would be the best player left on the board, and it just makes the most sense to snag him. Plus, the New York Giants need a star wide receiver. They have not had a star wide receiver, a stud at the position, since Odell Beckham was there or Victor Cruz was there. So it's been a long time coming for them to get a true number 1 wide receiver again. Malik Nabers is my pick at 6. Now, number 7, the Tennessee Titans are on the clock. I have them selecting Joe Alt, offensive lineman from Notre Dame. Now, this draft class is loaded with offensive linemen. There's a lot of talent top to bottom in all the rounds, especially the first 2 rounds of offensive linemen. So I do believe that that's going to be a popular position that gets picked a lot during this draft. But Joe Alt, I do believe, will be the first offensive lineman to be selected in the NFL draft. The Titans need a left tackle, and he could be the cornerstone of this offensive line for the next 10 plus years. So I like Joe Alt being the 7th overall pick for the Titans. Now, pick number 8 belongs to the Atlanta Falcons, and I have them selecting Dallas Turner, edge rusher from Alabama. Now, the Falcons took care of the offensive side of the ball this offseason. You got your new franchise quarterback, Kirk Cousins. You got a new wide receiver, Darnell Mooney, to be in an offense with Drake London, Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts. So it's time for the Falcons to address the defensive side of the ball. An edge rusher is one of the Falcons' biggest, one of the Falcons' weakest links. And them getting an edge rusher like Dallas Turner would help the defensive front, the front 7, and help their pass rush maybe in the future as they develop Dallas Turner down the line. Now, the Chicago Bears are back on the clock with pick number 9, and I had them selecting Rome Odunze, wide receiver from Washington. Now, I cannot see the Bears missing out on another opportunity to not only make Caleb Williams happy, but to improve this team offensively by getting another wide receiver to play in an offense that could have Caleb Williams, DJ Moore, and Keenan Allen. And Rome Odunze could be a perfect wide receiver to play in the slot position for the Bears. He is one of the best wide receivers in this draft class. Was one of the best wide receivers in the country last year, playing in the Washington offense, playing us alongside Michael Penix Jr. He's a guy that creates a lot of separation, has great hands, And I do believe he would be a great pick at 9 for the Bears. Now, number 10. Number 10 is the New York Jets on the clock. And I have them selecting Brock Bowers, tight end from Georgia. Now, for the most sense it would make would be for the Jets to go for offensive lineman here. But they are in win now mode. And a skilled player like Brock Bowers to add to this New York Jets offense next year, that's going to have Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams, Aaron Rodgers, Breece Hall. This would be a layup pick because Brock Bowers reminds me a lot of George Kittle. He's got that itch to him. He can pancake people being on the offensive line, blocking at the tight end position. But he's also that speedy guy that you got to look out for covering in the flats. And I do believe that Brock Bowers has a lot of upside, and that's definitely going to be a player that Aaron Rodgers is going to want to have if he's still on the board at pick number 10. So I have him going to the New York Jets. At pick 11, this is the Arizona Cardinals because they traded with the Minnesota Vikings. I got 4, so that would bring the Cardinals to 11. And I have them selecting Jared Verse, edge rusher from Florida State. Now, with the Cardinals trading back, with getting the 11th pick, in my mock draft, I expect them to get a lot from the Minnesota Vikings, which I'll get into that later on in my mock draft. But at 11, this pick makes the most sense for the Arizona Cardinals. Getting a pass rusher like Jared Verse would be a good addition to this team that needs a game-changing pass rusher if they could groom him and develop him for the future. And Jonathan Graham's defense, Jonathan Graham being a defensive-minded head coach, I think the pick makes a lot of sense at 11. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Number 12, Denver Broncos are on the clock, and I have them selecting Bo Nix, quarterback from Oregon. Now, I can see Bo Nix fitting with this selection, being a good selection here, and I can see Bo Nix fitting well into Sean Payton's offense. And I do believe that they would throw him into the fire because they traded for Zach Wilson early on in the week. You tell me, do you all believe that Zach Wilson is going to be the QB1 come week 1? No. So Bo Nix makes a lot of sense here, and he would be fine playing in Sean Payton's offense. In Sean Payton's offense, the quarterback plays under center a lot, which is something that Bo Nix likes to do. Now, Bo Nix has the most experience out of all the college quarterbacks in this draft class because he's played at the collegiate level for a long time, playing at Auburn and Oregon. He started out he started a total of 61 games and went 22-5 at Oregon. He's very accurate. Plays a similar style that Drew Brees played in the NFL. That's my draft comparison. Bo Nix to Drew Brees. Not saying he will be that good to Drew Brees, but that's just a draft comparison that I think of when I think of Bo Nix. He's very accurate, and I do believe he would be very coachable in Sean Payton's offense for them trying to turn things around in Denver. I like the selection with Bo Nix going to the Broncos. Now, number 13, another splash coming for the AFC West. The Raiders are on the clock, and I have them selecting Michael Penix Jr., quarterback from Washington. Now, I can see the Raiders being very patient, staying at 13, letting the draft play out, and letting Michael Penix Jr. fall into their hands with the 13th overall pick in this draft. Now, Michael Penix Jr. makes a lot of sense for a team that is looking to get another quarterback. They did get Gardner Minshew this offseason, but this could be a solid pick to have him sit behind Gardner Minshew until Michael Penix Jr. is ready. And I do believe that Michael Penix Jr. is one of the best quarterbacks in this draft class. Showed it last year, was one of the best quarterbacks in the nation last year, helped Washington get all the way to a national title. But I do believe that he has some things to work on. He is a good deep ball thrower, but needs to work on his pocket awareness. I do believe that's just one of the only flaws that I see in Michael Penix Jr.'s game. He has things to improve on like any other quarterback in this draft class. But I do believe that if the Raiders wanted to, they could groom him behind Gardner Minshew until they feel like it is fitting for him to take over as the quarterback one. And I do believe that this would be a good selection with them possibly finding their franchise quarterback for the sake of the future. I like Michael Penix Jr. going 13th overall here. Now, Number 14 on the clock, I have the New Orleans Saints. I have them getting Fashanu, offensive lineman from Penn State. Now, I do believe that the Saints spending this pick on an offensive lineman makes a lot of sense. Their 2022 first rounder, Trevor Penning, offensive lineman, has not played well for the team. Fashanu would replace him at left tackle, would be an upgrade for them on offensive line. Now, pick number 15, I have the Colts are on the clock, and I have them selecting Quinyon Mitchell, cornerback from Toledo. Now, Quinyon Mitchell is one of the best cornerbacks in this draft. It will be a great addition to the Colts secondary. He ran a 4.340 at the combine and showed a good Senior Bowl appearance, and he's a ball hawk. At Toledo, he was a ball hawk. I believe one game he had a total of 4 interceptions in one game. I forgot who Toledo played, but when I seen that tape, that stood out to me that he has elite ball hawk skills. I do believe that Quinyon Mitchell is going to be something that the Colts like in their secondary for the sake of the future. So at pick number 16, we have the Seattle Seahawks on the clock, and I have them selecting Troy Fatuna, offensive lineman for Washington. Now, if I said his last name wrong, I truly apologize, but I do believe that Troy would play again in the Seahawks offense with the offensive coordinator for the Seahawks, Ryan Grubb. He was the former offensive coordinator at Washington. I do believe that he could be used as a tackle or guard on the Seahawks offensive line, something that they need to improve on for their own sake, for sake of the future. But that is my part one selections 1 through 16 of my mock draft.